Now, if you have not heard, Hakeem Jeffries was up for a minority leader, which would put him in charge of Dem leadership in the House, and he won. They voted for him. Now, I've told you before, Hakeem Jeffries is not in favor of progressive policies. This is not a secret. He's been vocal about it. I'm going to get into that in just a second. But first and foremost, shout out to Case Study QB for this clip. Here is Hakeem Jeffries here being sworn in and the future for Democrats in the House.
After nearly a decade on Capitol Hill, Brooklyn-bred attorney Hakeem Jeffries takes his own place in history.
I stand on the shoulders of people like Shirley Chisholm and so many others.
Why did he compare himself to Shirley Chisholm? You know, it's like, boy, that's a stretch, Hakeem. That's a stretch.
As we work to advance the ball for everyday Americans and get stuff done. Because that's what Democrats do.
How are you going to get stuff done when Republicans control the House? See, this is the problem that people are having with Democrat politicians. They keep going around saying, we're getting things done. We're going to get things done. You need to be honest with people and just keep it real. Right now, you're not going to be able to get things done. At least for the next 2 years, right? You're not going to be able to get anything. You don't have control of the House. And I don't think I'm going to see many Republicans leaning over to your side when some of them don't even want to vote for Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. So I don't think many of them are going to lean your way. So I wish they would stop saying we're going to get things done. You don't know, you're not. It just is what it is. And these options have to pass in the House in order to make it to the Senate. So just keep that in mind.
At 52, Jeffries' ascension marks a generational change from 82-year-old outgoing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
We're going to work hard to...
Jeffries became Democratic caucus chair in 2019 and has long been known for his advocacy around affordable housing and criminal justice reform, working across the aisle in 2019 to get the First Step Act passed.
We look forward to finding opportunities to partner with the other side of the aisle.
You hear this? Everybody take note. Everybody take note. Partner with the other side of the aisle. Isn't it interesting that he's willing to work along with Republicans and partner with them, but he doesn't want to work along with the squad members for progressive policies? So you don't want to work along with people who are members of your own party, but you're willing to work along with the Republicans who are not a part of your party because they don't want progressive policies either. You guys see how this works? In other words, continuing to move the Democratic Party further and further to the right. Pay attention to that, guys.
And work with them whenever possible. But we will also push back against extremism whenever necessary.
And that means extremism on both sides. Now, he didn't say that there, so I'm going to add that in for him. That means extremism on the Democrat side and the Republican side. He's opposed to both.
But it was his role as an impeachment manager during former President Donald Trump's first impeachment trial that was among Jeffries' most high-profile posts, highlighting his background as a lawyer and his penchant for weaving in the legacy of hip-hop.
That is why we are here, Mr. Sekulow. And if you don't know, now you know.
That was so damn corny. That was so corny. It's always interesting to me how people like to, I don't know, insert Biggie and Tupac into places and spaces just to appear more cool when half the people in the room don't even know who you're talking about or what you're saying. Really interesting to me. That was corny, though. That was corny. Don't do that, Hakeem.
My constituents said, aren't you the congressman that shouted out Biggie Smalls on the House floor 2 years ago? I said, yeah, that was me. He said, and now I hear that you're the number 5 Democrat in the House of Representatives.
And I just want to say this. I loved Biggie Smalls' music. I love Tupac's music. But Hakeem is being a poser. He just trying to like, I just saw, like Colin said, he's posing. Come on. Like, he's not, this is not serious here. He's just trying to pose. And he was so corny about it. I don't like the corny. I don't like it. No, don't like.
How did that happen? And the only way that I can respond by quoting the Biggie Smalls lyric, which is, "You never thought that hip hop would take it this far." And so I think that Biggie Smalls, Jay-Z, in many ways, captures sort of the aspirational aspect of the American dream.
A former longtime staff.
Capitalism. The American dream. Jay-Z talked about this as well. We talked about it on RBN, a Twitter space that Jay-Z had, where he talked about, like, if I can make it, other people can too. And now people want to come up with these dirty words like capitalists and wealthy and eat the rich. That's what Jay-Z said. And he was like, no, I made my money and I'm going to keep mine. You guys should work as hard as me. That's what that's really about. So the fact that Hakeem's like, well, Jay-Z and them, they're like the American dream. Most people don't see the American dream, Hakeem. People like Jay-Z and Biggie and Tupac were outliers. Most people growing up in poverty don't get that break, don't get that chance. The American dream is only for a certain few.
Suggests Jeffries will pose a formidable challenge to Republicans.
He has a mind like a computer. He's absolutely brilliant. And so he remembers every single detail of everything. For all of his speeches, we never write his speeches out. We put it.
That doesn't mean you're going to make good decisions. I want to be clear here. Okay. There are different types of intelligence. Intelligence is not just academic intelligence. There's musical intelligence. There's emotional intelligence as well. And I want to point this out. Just because someone is intelligent, just because Hakeem Jeffries can remember everything, like he just said, that doesn't mean he's going to make the right decisions. That doesn't mean he's going to make the best choices for the American people, particularly working class people and poor people. And we've watched people make this mistake common times over and over again. They think, oh, they're a lawyer. They went to Stanford. They went to Yale. They're so smart. People said this about Colin Powell, Joe Biden, and the rest of them. He's so well-spoken, so intelligent. Said the same thing about Barack Obama. He speaks so well. Yeah. And both of them were warmongers. Just because someone is intelligent doesn't mean they're going to make the right decisions. So keep that in mind.
Together the substance, and he could just go and speak for 45 minutes.
And argues he's the right man for this moment.
In 2015, I said to him, I said, you're going to be the next Speaker of the House, because the reality of our party is that we had this old faction that was destined to leave at some point, and Hakeem was the guy that could best articulate what we stood for. And we now live in an era where that matters more than most other things.
Can't stop.
Articulate for who, though? When he says what we stood for, who's we? We who?
The reality of our party is that we had this old faction that was destined to leave at some point, and Hakeem was the guy that could best articulate what we stood for.
Who? Because if he's just talking about people who are Democrats, Democratic Party isn't even unified. They're not united. I mean, you have people like the squad that went in through the Democratic Party. You have people like Bernie Sanders saying we need these, progressive policies to pass. We want Medicare for all that kind of stuff. The Democratic Party, the majority of people in Congress that are a part of the Democratic Party don't want that. So who's we? Moderate Democrats? Corporate Democrats? Neocons? Because when he says we, like, I don't know, you're leaving some people. You got to be very particular there. Got to be particular.
And we now live in an era where that matters more than most other things.
Can't stop.
But Jeffries will have to contend with the left wing of the party, who view him as part of the establishment, and he's poised to take the mantle with a Democratic minority.
Notice how she worded that, who view him as part of the establishment, because he is. He is part of the establishment. He's corporate. He takes corporate money. He's corrupt. I mean, what do you mean they view him as? No, just look at the facts. Just follow the receipts. Just look at open secrets. We went over this a couple days ago. He is corporate. He is establishment.
As the great philosopher Grace Jones said, I may not be perfect, but I'm perfect for you. So for those who claim he's not progressive enough, there are far less progressive people who could stand in his stead and try to occupy his space.
Michael's another one. I'm sorry, I paused. I'll go back for a couple of seconds, but I got to say this. Michael Eric Dyson, you know, I have the same problem with him that I have with Robert Reich. And let me explain why. Michael and Robert, there's something that they both have in common. Both of them, they'll get on TV and they'll tell you exactly what the problems are. They'll talk about corruption. They'll talk about greed. They'll talk about issues for minority groups like Michael Dyson's. Well, he's really notorious for that. Like he'll call out all the problems that Black people have to deal with in the United States. They'll mention all the problems. Robert Reich will tell you, labor, people are exploited. There's so much corruption and greed. These companies need to give the workers rights. There's so many people at the bottom. By the way, Robert Reich ran for governor here in Massachusetts. I don't know if a lot of you guys know that. Many years ago. Anywho, they're both great at telling you exactly what the problems are. And yet, at the end, they tell you to vote for the same problems. Both of them. Both of them do it. Michael tells you, oh, yeah, police brutality, terrible, terrible. Oh, don't say defund the police, vote for the Democratic Party. Robert Reich will tell you there's so much corruption and greed. These corporations are just getting over on everybody. And yeah, money in politics. Yeah, that's a big problem. Vote for the Democratic Party. They don't send you down a different path. And that's worse to me, right? It's worse to me when you have the people that will point out the problems, but they still tell you to vote for the problem. They still keep you in the problem. I have a problem with people like that. So in this sense, it's kind of like what Teslin said the other night when she was saying that, like, in a sense, they're worse than when she said the progressives are worse than the moderates. I totally get where she was coming from that, because it's like, y'all know what the problem is. You announce the problem, you talk about the problem, but you still keep people in that problem. That's him and Michael. Let's go back a little bit because he's going to make excuses for Hakeem Jeffries.
To take the mantle with a Democratic minority.
As the great philosopher Grace Jones said, I may not be perfect, but I'm perfect for you. So for those who claim he's not progressive enough, there are far less progressive people who could stand in his stead and try to occupy his space.
How do you know that? How do you know that if they haven't been given the opportunity? Like this, the Apollo said. Apollo said Michael Eric Dyson is the safe Negro who will gladly shill for the Democrats. Exactly. I was trying to be nice about my critique, Apollo. I was trying. Apollo, you want to be my anger translator? Apollo's like, Apollo comes in like the anger translator's like, look, I'll say what Sabby won't say because Sabby's trying to be nice. I love it. All right, let me let Michael finish.
He's as progressive a figure as is capable of securing the broad base of the Democratic Party in order to represent them.
Eva McKend, CNN, Atlanta.
The broad base of the Democratic Party, which does not include the squad. The broad base includes the moderates, those that are right wing, because the Democratic Party is still right wing. Now, I want to show you something about Hakeem Jeffries, about some of the things that he has done to try to stop progressives. And I think this is important for people to hear. You know, Rolling Stone broke this story earlier this year. Exclusive. Top House Democrat unveils plan to beat back progressive rebellion. House seats are on the line as progressive challenge incumbents. Now, listen to what it says here. Listen to this. A pack of progressive candidates have crashed this year's Democratic primaries, hoping to unseat incumbents and push the party to the left. Representative Hakeem Jeffries, the fifth-ranking Democrat in the House, has other plans. Jeffries and two of his House Democrat allies on Wednesday rolled out the first slate of endorsements from Team Blue PAC. Hold on to that. A political action committee intended to protect incumbents from intra-party attacks. The endorsements and their attendant $5,000 campaign contributions are the strongest demonstration of support yet from Jeffries and his allies, and serve as a warning shot to primary challengers seeking to unseat incumbents as Democrats fight to hold on to their fragile majorities. Again, that was rolled out by Hakeem Jeffries and two House Democrat allies. So Hakeem Jeffries was trying to prevent progressive candidates from winning. So when I say he's against progressive policies, believe me, something dropped last night from Hakeem that might surprise you. So I don't know really what to make of Hakeem at this point. Here we go. Hakeem Jeffries, House Dems' new leader, said Tara Reade's Biden accusation should be investigated seriously. I kid you not. This published December 1st. That was yesterday. Let me show you. Now, this is a story that most Democrat politicians don't even want to touch. They don't even want to touch it. But let me show you what he said. Now, there's Tara Reade. Tara's been on the show multiple times. I stand in solidarity with Tara Reade. She knows this. But listen to what he said. House Democratic Caucus Chairman Hakeem Jeffries, who was elected Wednesday by House Democrats to succeed Speaker Nancy Pelosi, said during the 2020 presidential election that Tara Reade's sexual assault allegation against President Biden needs to be investigated seriously. Jeffries made headlines in April 2020 after he broke with his party to lend credibility to claims made by Reade, a former Biden staffer who accused Biden of cornering her at a Senate office building in 1993 and sexually assaulting her. Multiple people have corroborated parts of Reade's story since she first spoke out March 25th, 2020. But Biden and his campaign vehemently denied the claims. It's got to be taken seriously because this is a serious allegation raised by a serious individual and needs to be investigated seriously. We've probably got to hear more from Biden at some point directly. Now, some of you, I think a lot of you already know Tara's story, but she was not the only one who accused Joe Biden. There were multiple women that came forward. And I just have to say this, like, people are asking, like, why would he be so willing to push it? And I have a theory. I could be wrong, but just go with me. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the plan from some of the Democrats in the party is to find a way to push Joe Biden out That way Kamala can assume his position, which would also be terrible. She's terrible too. I'm starting to wonder, because I told you guys about this before. There were some of the Democrats did not want him. They did not want him there. And I wonder if that's part of it. Especially now, like that tweet thread that came out by Matt Taibbi that me and Misty were going over just a couple minutes ago. One of the things that is revealed is that Twitter censored the Hunter Biden laptop story. Now that he's been tweeting all of that, I think he's probably still tweeting now. I don't even know, but it's a long thread. But it makes you wonder, because now if Elon Musk is collaborating with Matt and they decide, and Elon decides, yes, we're going to go ahead and release it, what's going to happen? What's going to be the blowback from that? Because like I said, mainstream media, for the most part, didn't want to touch it. You talked about it on YouTube. YouTube pulled the video. Those of us in independent media. So now, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder. But that's just where my mind's at. And I could be wrong. But if I'm not, remember this. Remember this.